is the Social Media Millionaire Podcast, where we are shaping the new era of millionaires. This podcast is the first podcast exclusively for the modern CEO who is scaling $1 million, dare I say $1 billion businesses with organic social media.
Welcome to the Social Media Millionaire Podcast, episode 1, our journey to a 7-figure online business and, the ups and downs along the way to get there.
Yeah, we really want to break down and really highlight our mistakes as well as the things that we did well that allowed us to get there. But we obviously learned a lot in that process, and hopefully you can learn from our mistakes.
Yeah. And before we started this podcast, Kenda, you brought up a statistic that was very interesting. What was that?
Yeah, so only 9% of small businesses ever cross the $1 million mark, and then only 3% of female-owned small businesses ever cross the $1 million mark, which is just crazy to me because especially over COVID, there were so many businesses that popped up like on social media, especially and online. And so it's wild to me that there were so many people that started businesses, but that stat is still so low. Like, I feel like it doesn't need to be that low.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it also goes back to that other statistic everyone always talks about is how 80% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And ultimately, small businesses, they end up failing because of sales.
Yeah, 100%. Well, because when clients come to us, like there's always such a hang up for them with things that are so irrelevant. They're always talking about their brand pillars or humming and hawing about what they should name a program or overanalyzing their brand colors or what platform they should use for their website or even building their website. And all of that is really irrelevant, which brings me to our first point, which is organic marketing. Like you said, if people don't have sales, they don't have a business. If no one knows that you exist, you're not going to have any sales.
I was going to add in, I think it's really funny because you brought up the fact that everyone wants to work on their brand pillars or what's in their Instagram bio or, whatever it may be. And it's funny because they say, oh, I need to make more sales, but then they focus on working on
things
their Instagram bio or their brand
sales.
pillars. Yeah, instead of...
And not to say that your brand isn't important and that your digital storefront doesn't matter.
They are contributing factors.
They're contributing factors, of course, but it's not the most important thing. If you've never posted a TikTok and you've never shown up on your Instagram story, you shouldn't be worrying about those things because ultimately in the beginning, you're not even going to know what those brand pillars are. And sitting down trying to brainstorm them isn't an effective use of your time when you could just start posting. And honestly, the people will tell you what your brand pillars are. People will be attracted to something that you talk about more than others and have questions. And that's really the best place to go from. I think a better place to turn is to kind of look inward at really what differentiates you and what really separates you from the pack of other people in your industry rather than trying to come up with content ideas.
Well, and at the end of the day, people try to come up with these brand pillars, for example, before they even know what their customer avatars are. And they don't know what their customer avatars are because they really haven't made enough sales to determine what that is, or really created a product offer designed around a specific customer.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is when we first started our business, I think part of what really led to success beyond the background that I had with social media was the 90-minute intensives because I was able to see inside of over 300 businesses and see exactly what their offers were, what their systems were, what their marketing was like, and really just identify gaps in so many businesses and so many different types of businesses to where then I knew exactly what the struggles are that new business owners face, that kind of more intermediate level business owners face as they're trying to hit that 7-figure mark, and then the bottlenecks that occur once you've surpassed that 7-figure mark. And so a lot of people are tempted to do work for free when they're first starting their business, and people really lean into doing market research in the form of Google search trends and Answer the Public and things like that. Not that those can't be effective.
They're good places to start, but more than anything,
you need to just talk to people.
If you have an idea of what you want to do, you have to create a product or a service
and start trying to sell it.
Yeah, and create a sales page and drive traffic to it. Because at the end of the day, If no one buys it, that's really good market feedback. If you drive 1,000 people to that page, no one buys it. Either your sales page is really bad or there's really not a fit for your product. But even with that many people, if your product has product market fit, someone's going to buy it.
Right. So I guess that's one of the things you could say we did well is we moved quickly. We put offers out and we just sold them. And then we were able to adapt. And even now we're adapting and improving our offers and listening to the market and listening to client feedback. And it's funny because I put a post out on Instagram the other day talking about like investments with our offers and how we believe when people invest with us that investment should grow, obviously in the form of an ROI, but also as our business evolves, their investment with us grows. So people that invested at the very beginning of TTI, they are given access to all of the new modules that have been created and all of the new resources and replays of trainings and templates and template upgrades and all of that.
Yeah, the content within TTI, Traffic to Income, for those who don't know, it's just been insane the progress that we've made with it and the scope and range of areas that we cover with it.
And the reason that we were able to do that is because we listened to people. When they told us what they needed, we developed it. And so even if it wasn't perfect when we first put it out, they are still getting access to that new version of it, which is not always possible for every single business, but specifically in the education space with online consultants and things of that nature where you have resources you're giving. It's a really good space to be able to put out an imperfect offer and still deliver just a class act of an offer because you can improve it. And like I said, the investment grows over time for the people that invested at the beginning, for the people that invested in the middle, and for the people that are investing with us now. They've gotten access to all the new things and they'll continue to get access to all the new developments as it comes down the pike.
Well, and two things on that. When you're developing a product or an offer, and as we develop more product and offers within our company, or companies technically speaking, it's really important to realize that if you're worried about the quality of the product, you can over deliver and include more in that product or service if you're worried about the quality. If you're not able to deliver more quality over time, like Kendall was saying. And the other thing is, a lot of people think that small businesses are easy to innovate or can innovate quicker than large businesses. And sometimes this is true. And people think it's, small businesses versus large businesses. But all the reality, it's the difference of fast moving businesses versus slow moving businesses. And the faster you can innovate and develop your products within your company, the faster you're going to be able to get product market feedback and be able to continue to develop those and make sales to generate revenue for your company. And that's what makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, which leads us into our next point really well. What makes you be able to move fast, which is having good systems that facilitate, team and time management and execution. And that's something that we really, I'd say, didn't do super well in the beginning with team building and systems. Like I personally had never really managed people before. And so I did not know how to delegate responsibility. And so even though I was hiring people, I was just handing tasks off to them, but I was still thinking about it and worrying about it and being the one in charge and responsible for those outcomes. And so with that, once we were able to implement systems that would take care of that, and we had, shout out, Assist Her Agency build out a massive ClickUp build out for us. And so once we had that implemented, it was like a night and day shift, like almost overnight in our business, because the system was then doing a lot of the thinking and management for us and the tracking for us, and allowed us to speed up our execution, because then our team's focus was then on development and building and filming and all the things that actually move the needle, rather than just following up on other people's checklists and things of that nature.
And one of the things that goes along with that, with delegating responsibility, everyone on the internet says, hire a VA, hire a VA. And VAs definitely have their purpose.
Absolutely.
The one thing I would say on that is I'd be very careful. We hire VAs to take care of certain work within the business. That's normally admin work, not necessarily client relations. A lot of people will say hire VAs for everything. And I personally believe that it's better to hire a team that's in-house for your company, that's trained on your core values that you bring in your business and then you want to deliver to your client.
Yeah, 100%. I think VAs are incredible, and we have a VA right now. We have multiple VAs that have worked with us. We have more full-time team members that started as VAs. And so there's 100% a place for it. The thing is that a lot of people hire VAs in the very beginning. And once again, it's great. There's a need for it. But what you're doing is you're outsourcing the tasks. You're handing off a checklist. You're not able to fully delegate the responsibility. And so if you are going to be hiring VAs, that's really where the system comes in, where you can delegate some of that responsibility. Even just think about the reoccurring tasks that come up in your business all the time, right? You have to remember to do client check-ins at the end of the week. You have to remember to add clients to an offboarding sequence. You have to remember to post an Instagram reel, even if it's already created. And so those tiny little things that you have to remember to do on a recurrent basis, those things can be delegated to the system, where you can then hand off that task to a VA without having to hand off the responsibility to a person, if that makes sense.
Like making that story post, for example. You might have a specialized graphic designer in-house that makes a way better graphic design than your VA could, but your VA just has the responsibility of posting that, and that's all trackable within a project management software. I know we love ClickUp. There are other ones out there.
We never shut up about ClickUp, but there's a million and one out there, but it's been really, really good for us. And the thing is that with our systems is that we used so many different platforms too. I guess a mistake that we made, because we had tried Trello, we tried Asana, we tried Monday.com, we had hosting.
We looked at Smartsheets.
And then beyond the project management, we had
for a while
multiple
I was
payment
just straight up using
processors.
Excel.
Yeah, we were just straight up using Excel for a long time. Airtable.
Airtable's amazing, but the way we were using it is not the way Airtable was intended to be used as a relational database.
And there were so many things that we used for payment processing, for hosting. We used Kartra. Then we had to migrate all of our membership members from Kartra to Mighty Networks. And so I would say that kind of that tussle, obviously it's good to learn what works for you. It's good to try things out. And again, I say like move fast.
Yeah, the best.
If you can do a little bit more research, of all the things, I would say kind of front load some of the research and maybe take a little bit more time to set up. I would figure out what systems and softwares you're really going to want to have long term, and really dive into researching that, reading reviews, watching YouTube videos of all the things that you could really spend time researching. Don't focus on your brand pillars. Research what project management and team management tools you're going to use, because having to migrate that later can just cause so much headache.
Well, it can cause a lot of headache, but it is to be noted, as we talked about earlier.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Well, yeah.
Evolve.
Being
it's
fast
okay.
beats being slow, and if you make that mistake, just be quick to change it. Fail fast
and fix it faster.
Yeah, all of these systems, they allowed us to do what really matters most. And for these solopreneurs out there, those one-person shops that are trying to build a business but don't have anyone working for them yet, the most important thing you can do as your own CEO, as some would say, is market your company. And having those systems in place really allowed us to focus on the marketing of our brand and our business more than would be said otherwise.
Yeah, the systems, I would say, really are a huge part of what allowed our revenue to increase so exponentially, was because once we had those in place, and again, the systems were doing the thinking that I was doing, it also facilitated a lot more ease within the marketing creation that we were doing. So creating a system that allowed us to have omnipresence in our marketing. We talk a lot about cross-platform traffic. Having a system that really facilitated all the phases of content creation and planning, and then as we got farther down the line, delegation, really allowed us to create more of a content creation machine. The other thing I'll say is that from even backing up those initial 90-minute intensives we did and seeing the inside of these people's business, it allowed us to reach our target customer very, very quickly. And we learned how to really intentionally target people on social media. And we were able to do that because we had a really, really clear understanding of exactly what people were needing from us, exactly what people's current realities were, what their symptoms were, and what they were really sitting in and feeling. And so with that understanding paired with the system, we were able to pump out a pretty high volume of content very quickly, but it's not
and
done
then
in
redistribute it
and then
across
redistribute
multiple
it
platforms.
And it's also not done in a way that, and not to throw shade, but a lot of people do when they have a set posting schedule and they're like, I'm going to post X amount of times every single day. That content's not good. They're batch creating that content. It's not super intentionally created. They're really just kind of working from one end, pulling out content ideas and trying to pull inspiration from other things that they see, instead of working backwards from what they know their clients need. Because if you start over on that side with what you know your clients need and what they need to hear from you and what their current reality is, you can work the other direction into just so much depth of content that is so targeted into what they're struggling with and what they're going through and what they need. And that is the way to never run out of content. And if you have a system one that allows you to facilitate that very, very easily. And this is something that we do across our entire offer suite, but specifically in TTI, we make all of our clients install this template and use this framework and break down what their client symptoms are and what they're actually speaking to so that they can make consistent sales. And the most important part of all of that is that they're not spending more than an hour or two every week creating content. And so they still have plenty of time to work on the business as well as in the business. And the marketing, although it is a huge bulk of what you should be spending your time doing, it doesn't have to take up that much time because it's very intentionally done. It's very targeted.
Well, it comes back to time management and having the systems in place. That way you know where you're storing your videos. You know what topic you're talking about for that month and for that week. You know how that's going to play to your audience. The other thing is you're also taking in all that other content you've posted. You're getting automatic feedback from your audience on social media, whether it gets 200 views or 10,000 views. Both of that's automatic feedback, let alone from the comments. So if you're talking about something you're trying to sell, let's say you're like a CPA and you're trying to sell tax services because tax season's coming around, and you're talking about the 179 deduction for vehicles, and tons of people are commenting on it and being like, how can I do that? And how can I work with you? That's really positive feedback. And it's something that, you know, you can have a specific offer for or an upsell into, or have a service directly related to that with your tax services.
Yeah. And the thing is that with this method of creating content, not only do you have the time management aspect where it's not taking you a ton of time, but you're also never putting out content that isn't strategic, that isn't targeted to a specific outcome that you're looking to have within your clients. And you're never putting out content just to post. Like, you're never in that mode of just, oh, I have to create something, I have to get something up, because you have a structure and a strategy that all flows together and into your offers and primes people for the next month and the next month and the next month. And so it's so intentionally done that you never have bad, low quality content going out. You have just such a wide variety and high volume of high quality content that's actually going to serve your clients and generate sales.
Providing value to your followers, you know, first and foremost. You have to give people a reason. You know, there's that value exchange on social media. You provide people value, they're going to follow you back. And, you know, you provide enough value, you're going to earn them as a client. And if you provide enough value, then you're going to earn them as a repeat customer, and you're going to earn referrals from them, which is ultimately what every business needs to survive.
Yeah. And one thing I will say, because you're 100% right, you have to provide value. But just my caveat to that is that everybody thinks that providing value means educating.
No.
And that's not...
It comes in different ways.
That's not actually going to...
You can entertain, you can
generate
inspire,
clients for you.
You can educate.
Well, sure, but deeper than that, what you're able to do is really create an aha moment for people. And so through the different type of content lenses, that's how you can really speak to all of your different buyers' psychologies and what they need to hear from you to actually buy. And if you can have a system that facilitates that, it's a very simple and intentional approach where you are providing a lot of value, but not in the traditional way that gurus tell you to provide value.
The other thing when it comes to that organic marketing content is it goes back to systems. You need links to sales pages on all of your social media platforms. From those sales pages, you need checkout. You need to have a system integrated for payments. And through all of that, you need an offer to sell on those sales pages. So all three of these... You need
tracking?
Yeah, you need tracking. Me, the data science guy, you need tracking for all of that data you're getting, all that information, all of that feedback you're getting, all of those page hits you're getting. That way you can look at it at mass, and you can really, you know, going back to the 1,000 hits on your product page, you can really dive deep into that. Like, who is your audience? Where are they coming from? What part of the world? How long are they spending on your page? What are they accessing? Where are they clicking around to? Are they getting lost? Are they just looking and then dropping out because your page is too confusing and bouncing? You know, you have to collect that data, whether through Google Analytics or another platform, where you can have that data and then you can analyze it and make business decisions based off of that.
Yeah, which kind of brings me to my last point, which is having a good understanding of sales psychology and buyer psychology, because you can collect all of that data, but if you don't know what to do with it because you don't understand it, and you don't understand what people need, and you don't understand consumer behavior, it doesn't do anything for you to collect that. So with that, hopefully you were able to glean a little bit of value from all of our mistakes, as well as the things that we feel like we did well in scaling to 7 figures. Obviously, we'll be unpacking these topics, as well as many more, a lot more in depth on future episodes. So with that, if you want to connect with us, or you have any questions about what we talked about in this episode or any future episodes, be sure to follow us over on Instagram or TikTok TikTok, you can find me at kenda.laney. My DMs are always open.
You can find me at soren.laney, real creative.
You can tell there's a theme here. And then on TikTok, you can find us at Social Media Millionaire, or of course, just my name on TikTok. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.